I guarantee you'll likely make all these mistakes and more as you learn to sew and make your own clothes. But making sewing mistakes is not the problem. It's part of the learning process, but it does happen that we all make very common mistakes that we all do. And so in this video, let's talk about some solutions to these common problems that we all face, so you can just be less scared and just keep going forward in your sewing project. Welcome back, my sewing friends. If you are just brand new here, then welcome. My name is Evelyn Wood and I'm the creator of VintageSewingSchool.com. And here on this channel, we talk about everything to help you get better at your garment sewing so you can make those clothes that you dream of in your mind. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below so YouTube knows that you want to see my videos, and do double check because we all know YouTube likes to trick you sometimes on that. So if you might just be waiting for your machine to even arrive, or maybe you're restarting sewing after a long interlude of no sewing. Maybe you've made up a few garments already, but you're still sitting here terrified of all of the mistakes or problems you're going to face, and it's just kind of stopping you from moving forward. Now, we do not want this. Now, mistakes are absolutely part of the process. There's no avoiding them. They're going to happen. I've made other videos here. Mistakes are part of the process. It's part of the learning curve. That's it. I'm going to link that video down below. It's a very valuable video. So we will make mistakes. We know this. What are the common ones that we all make? Because I know when I was learning and I see all my students at Vintage Sewing School, I see the comments here, I see it on social media, everyone you talk to, we all end up kind of getting ourselves in the same situations. And how do we fix them? So let's look at these solutions. So this is kind of like a problem solution. Now, these are not all of the things that we need to know or forget or about in sewing, but this is like something that we do that presents a problem, an issue, and how can we kind of fix it to keep just moving forward and just keep going in your sewing project so you don't get stuck. And as I said, just less to be scared of. The first problem, you feel like you're about to throw your sewing machine out the window. Don't do it yet, I promise. We all get to this where it's just a thread jam, a big nest of like threads, and your machine is obviously broken and it is just not working. Well, fear not, I promise about 90% of thread jam is actually operator error. I know it's not the answer you wanted to hear, but trust me, it is actually good news because it means it's very easy to be fixed. Now, I have two videos for you to watch down below. One is on the main things that would go wrong, and the other is like a troubleshooting list and the top 10 things to try, because thread jam is just a process of elimination to figure out what is wrong. And I promise you, you can do it. So don't throw your machine out the window yet. All right, now you've got your machine working. What happens when any of the sewing, stitching mistakes that you make? Well, that is where this comes in handy. This is a seam ripper, and this is your new best friend. Now make sure your best friend is a sharp one, because really, don't be scared of making any stitching mistakes. You will. That's what this is for. You just rip out your seam, undo all your stitches, and then you just re-sew it. Honestly, that is just what you do. We all do it. You'll never stop making sewing mistakes, so don't think that'll ever stop. Just seam rip it out, keep moving on. But now what happens if you accidentally make a mistake with your seam ripper? Well, this one's a little bit harder to fix. So very often, you will find that either you try and redo the same thing too many times and there just becomes this like mess, a hole, maybe you accidentally slip and you slice a hole in your fabric or something like that. Well, what can you do about this? All right, so it obviously depends on where it is on the garment and how big your hole is. Let's just call it a hole, for example. Do not think that your garment is completely ruined. This is why I recommend when you're first starting to do a toile as a practice garment, so you can kind of learn all these things and you'll make less of those mistakes the second time you do it for real, so to say, next time. But that's next time. You've still got this garment in front of you. Well, you can easily repair it. It's a hole. So just like any mending, like on a hole of a garment, we mend it. So either try some darning stitches, a patch, something like this to cover it up. Maybe a patch, turn it into a decoration or a feature, you know, a little bumblebee or a flower or something like that, depending where it is on the body, of course, on the garment. Turn it into something decorative or a design feature or something like this, and just generally mend and repair it. And then If it's not, you'll still be able to move on with your project. And if you have to call it a wear around the house item or pajamas, then so be it, but you'll know what to do for next time better as well. One really big problem that I think every single one of us does is that we accidentally stretch out necklines and armholes. I know, I used to be so guilty of this, and because you don't even notice it when you're first starting to sew, right? So you don't know that you're supposed to stay stitch. By the way, I have videos on stay stitching. They're going to link those down below too. To secure and hold the edges, and we kind of stretch things as we sew, and even as we put it on, we don't even know that we're stretching these places out because they're on the bias, and then we end up with these necklines that are all wavy, or these armholes that are all gapey because we've just accidentally stretched them out. So this will happen, it will. So what can you do? This is a tough one. I recommend what you could do is you need to really reset the fibers. So you have to wash the garment and be very gentle, because remember, they're very delicate neckline and armhole. Hand wash it, and dry it very gently, maybe even flat, because washing it will kind of reset the fibers and it might shrink back into place where it should be, and then we can keep going. You can try stay stitching it, and whilst you're stay stitching it, kind of easing it in a little bit to try and ease in that stretched out. Now, you can only do this a little bit, otherwise it'll just start to look gathered, of course. So that'll work for a little bit of stretching out. So if any of those don't work, there's not much else you can really try except to just call that your practice piece and continue making it up as your practice piece. So all the other things you still get to practice and learn and make all your mistakes on, and again, make it for real. So to say the next time, and it'll be, I promise, it's not even like a scale. It's not twice as good. It's 10 times as good as the second time you do it, promise. Now, I think we all choose a too difficult pattern, even though it says easy. No, oh my gosh. So I have talked about in other videos how to choose easy patterns. And again, all linked down below. So why do they say it's easy? Well, I'm not sure why they say it's easy, but this is how I look at trying to choose a pattern to make it easy for you, yourself, at your skill level. So the first garment that you make, of course, is going to have like X amount of things to do on it, and it's always the most difficult because it's the first one. So after that, consider having a look at the pattern and have a look at how many things the pattern has. For example, a thing might be, does it have a zip? A collar? Maybe it has cuffs. Maybe it has pockets. Maybe it has lots of pattern pieces. That's a different thing. Lots of construction techniques. Maybe it uses a slippery fabric like rayon or something like this. Dealing with slippery fabrics is a thing in itself, or maybe it's a knit and you have to do all the stretch things. So each of these things are different skills that you really need to know and be able to do. So if you have like 10 different things that you have to learn in one project, you can imagine how overwhelming and how, that's going to go, right? And it's not to say that you can't do that, but when you look at it like this, you can start to think, well, how many new things do I want on each project? Just to slowly keep building your skills, build the ones you know already, keep practicing those, and just try 1, 2 more new things every new garment that you make. It's a nice, slow, easy progression that you can just keep working towards. So that's the way I like to look at it. Don't disregard whatever the pattern says as easy. Have a think about it for yourself. What do you already know how to do and what's new that you'll have to learn? That's how you can balance what's easy and what's not. I'm not sure there's a single sewist out there that did not choose the wrong fabric for the wrong pattern, or the right pattern. So you've chosen the wrong fabric. I did this so many times for so long. So educating my students on fabric is so high up on my list because I struggled with it for so long. And it's just that choosing the wrong fabric. We see a fabric that we like and we think, I'm going to make this fabric out of this pattern and it's going to look fabulous, and you realize that is not the case. Certain designs require certain fabrics, be it because they drape a certain way, they stretch a certain way, they have stiffness, they have drapiness. Designs are designed with a particular type of fabric in mind, and that's why the fabric suggestions on the back of the envelope are key to follow. It really is. We all learn the hard way on that one. So what do you do if you have chosen the wrong fabric? Well, it's not really, like if you've already cut it out, there's nothing you really can do except use it as a trial perhaps and keep moving on. But it's more about then what you can do is next time pay very particular attention to the fabric suggestions on the back of the envelope and look forward. So what did you do wrong? Did it need a knit and stretch versus woven? There's not much you can do to counteract that. Do you just have something drapey versus stiff? Well, you can still get away and make up the garment. It's just that it might not fall as nice as you had hoped. So just take your lessons on that one for next time and know what you're looking for next time. Okay, let's say you cut out the wrong size. Yeah, this is bound to happen. Now, we're going to assume that you cut out the wrong size, either like mid, and you've cut out your fabric in there already. So, and you probably made it up, and that's when you realize that it's the wrong size. We'll go from there. What you could do is try and you can try and just take it down. Hopefully it's not too big or if it's too small, unfortunately there's not a lot you can do. There's no extra fabric anywhere to add fabric to make it bigger. So you can either get creative by maybe adding side panels or something like that, but otherwise there's not much you can do to make it bigger. To make it smaller, obviously you can try your very best to maybe run down the side seams a little. Maybe if you have a center front or a center back, you can also take a little bit through there. It won't be perfect, and of course you're probably just still learning, so again, it really won't be perfect, but that's okay. Maybe just do your best to try and downsize that particular one a little bit and just keep making it up and make it fit. Again, hopefully this is just your trial or your mock-up, and so you'll know what better to do for the next one to keep moving forward. But you can still make that work if that is the case. So don't be too scared about doing that. And most of the Big Four companies will always add extra ease on there, so it's usually always going to be a little bit too big until you learn how to master that, navigate that thing called ease that, again, linking videos down below on those, on ease and how to decide all of that. Choosing the wrong design for our body shape and just creating a really difficult fit for ourselves. I think absolutely we all do this, and it's one that's actually not talked about a lot or at all almost. So what do I mean by this? Is there are certain shapes of garments that suit our bodies. Now, for example, myself, I am quite small in the waist and larger through the hips. And so I have never put on a pencil skirt in my entire life that has fit. It's always too big at the waist and too tight at the hips. Always. So I always have bought and worn A-line skirts. But of course, just like me, I know you started sewing so you can make all these things that you can't possibly buy. I know, don't worry. Wait a moment, it's not over. And so, but the thing is, we do that to begin with, not realizing that there's a reason that those types of garments don't fit us well. And so then we try and make that. I did this, I tried to make pencil skirts and this fit is awful. I try and get the right size and it's just terrible because it's not really, I'm not making it easy for myself. So when you're starting, look for the patterns and shapes that you already know generally fit you and that you like, because you're almost guaranteed then to have far less fitting than if you picked something that you don't normally wear. It's just about making it easy for yourself to begin with, because you need to learn sewing first and making up a garment and your sewing machine and garment construction before you start learning fitting and pattern alterations and all this sort of thing. So make it easy on yourself and select those styles, those silhouettes that naturally suit your body shape, and you'll be much easier fit in the long run for yourself. Promise. So if you've already picked a garment, of course, the solution is just try your very best to tweak and make it fit and realize what's going on so that the next one you make, you can definitely, make a better choice on those silhouettes. But again, just fudge your way through and you make it fit and make it work. There's things you can do. It's just a one-off. It'll be okay. I know a lot of those were kind of like, fudge your way through and make it work, but that is what we do when you make a mistake, assessing what you've done, take your lessons from it, and just do your best to move forward with it and know what to do better next time. And hopefully you'll know that we all go through these issues, and when you come to it yourself, you won't be so hard on yourself for making a mistake or for getting into that problem. You'll just come back to this video, I hope, and realize that it is part of the process. We all do it. Don't worry about it. Just take your lessons and move on. And there's a few things that you can do. Hopefully you've got a few now tools to what you can do when those problems do come up. I would love to hear it below. What do you think are some of the most common problems that I forgot to mention here? I'd love to hear it down below. And of course, any other solutions that you have for any of those, leave those comments down below too. Make sure you read all the comments because there'll be so much extra information there. We are a sewing community here and we all help each other get better at making our garments. That's what we do. Okay, check the description box below because there are so many other links and videos I know that will really help you out. And until next time, my sewing friends, happy sewing. Bye.